Today I want to discuss what happened to Lil Skies. Lil Skies obviously came into the scene around 2017, 2018. I would say that was around his peak. 2017, 2018, maybe some of 2019. He had a lot of big songs back then. Everyone knew who he was, and he was one of the top leading guys in the game. Obviously, we're at the point where I think we've all heard and seen the jokes and everything going around with Unbothered's first week sales, the Deluxe first week sales, the quality of his music, where he's actually been at, and just what happened to him. Lil Skies released his first project, which was Life of a Dark Rose, which sold 16,000 units first week back in like 2018. These were really good numbers, especially back then, considering how big this album was and how big a lot of the songs on this project actually were. There was a handful of songs on this album that I'm sure all of you guys still know today and probably still listen to every once in a while. And Skies also didn't disappoint with his sophomore album Shelby, which debuted at number 5 on the US Billboard 200 chart and sold 54,000 units first week. This was a huge jump up from the year prior when he released this album, and this is why I think this was around the time he was probably at his peak, because he was selling good. Songs were still doing really good for him. I was a big song off of this album. But then he took a really long break. And if you ask me, this break is really what hurt him, because Skies is a good artist. And I thought he kind of fit in that category with like Uzi and all of them where they came up around that era. But the thing Skies didn't really have, which is something that I see with like Ian Dior nowadays, is that I just don't think he was the type of artist that could really wait a couple years to release an album. I think he had to consistently be releasing new music to make sure that his name was staying on top of playlists and just to make sure he was still getting those monthly streams and monthly listeners. Skies has definitely built himself a really big and dedicated fan base that still listen to his music. I think that this is most obvious with his third album, Unbothered, which sold 15,000 units first week. Now, out of his 3 albums, this is obviously the lowest that he has sold, but to be honest, this was without merch bundles, without a big single, really without a lot of promotion at all from his label. I didn't see really any label push for this album at all. Selling 15,000 units in 1 week is really good, especially considering if you compare him to like someone like 24K Golden, who released an album around the same time and sold like 16,000 units first week. But Golden had the success of Mood on his album, which was a huge song. And by the time Golden actually dropped his album, Mood had basically gathered like all the streams it was going to get for the actual project to help boost its sales, and Skies still sold around the exact same that Golden did. I think this proves that Skies still has a pretty solid fan base that enjoys music and will still go out of their way to support him, but it's definitely a huge decrease, and he hasn't had a song that's been really big in a long time. I would say I Was probably one of his last widely successful songs. We still see Skies' name get brought up all the time in the conversation. Blackie Speaks has mentioned him, Cuff Boy still talks about him, and we've even seen Internet Money want to work with Skies more. They put Skies on the Internet Money album. They said they want to do a tape with him. It's obvious that a lot of people still like Skies and they enjoy his music. He still has fans and they want to see him do well. He just hasn't really had a song hit and stick for a long time. I don't think Skies' career is fully over. Obviously, he got clowned on a lot earlier this year with how Unbothered performed and then how the Deluxe performed. And a lot of the mainstream listeners kind of moved on from Skies and moved on to the next thing. And I think a big reason for that, again, was just because he waited so long to drop his album. He basically waited 2 years to release an album, which again is exactly what Ian Dior is doing. It's been over 2 years since Ian's last album. Now, Skies was definitely in a little bit different of a lane. He definitely set himself up a lot better than Ian did, because Ian never really established himself too heavily with big hits that a mainstream audience would know, minus like Mood, and then if you do really listen to rap and you've heard stuff like Gone Girl or Emotions, you would know those. But Skies had those widely successful songs that almost everybody knows. I still think that Skies has a chance to stay big, and by just releasing more music more consistently. And I'm not saying like 2 albums a year or a mixtape here and then an album here, but I would definitely say he needs to be more consistent with releasing singles or snippets that his fans want, or at least a yearly project to keep his fans happy and releasing a few songs that his fans really want. Because we've all seen how TikTok works and just how music kind of gets big nowadays, and any song that you release, whether it's good or bad, could blow up for different reasons. Now, I don't necessarily think it would be good if Skies dropped a song that everyone didn't like and obviously they were clowning on it and that's what blew it up. that would hurt his career more than it would help. But we all know Skies can make good music, and he still does make good music. There are songs on Unbothered that I really like, and there's songs on the Deluxe that I really like as well. I want to see Skies succeed and continue to do well. I think he just needs to be more consistent with releasing music, and especially more consistent with releasing stuff that his fans want him to release.
Finally back with another video after so long. Wait a minute, this isn't my channel. What am I doing here? I'm just kidding. What's poppin', guys? My name is Grisha if you don't know me. I also make rap content on YouTube, and Skies is one of those artists that I focus on a lot. So my boy Complex asked me to hop on this vid and give my opinion of what really happened to Skies and, like, honestly what he was doing in the past and what he might be able to do in the future to make sure that he succeeds and stuff like that. Now I know Complex has already given you guys a lot of good points, but one thing that I definitely want to touch on is the fact that I feel like Skies just in general as an artist, as an influencer, and just as a person was way more active in the years that he was popping, you feel me? I mean, if we take a look all the way back, right? Think about all the songs and projects that dropped that ended up having a Skies feature on them. And for some reason, that's not really happening much of anymore. I mean, Skies collab with dudes like MGK, Gucci Mane, Juicy J, Kevin Gates, and Smoke Perp back when they were big deals. And we just don't see him doing much of that anymore. I don't recall the latest project of like an actual poppin' artist other than, you know, Bright Greta, where Skies was actually appearing on their tape or a single that they were dropping. And I feel like he used to do a lot more of that back in the day. I don't know why. Maybe he just never actually formed real relationships with these artists. And of course, with the case of like MGK, for example, MGK is in a whole different genre now, so I can see why that didn't really happen. But just in general, I feel like he was way more active and way more hungry to get to the point where he wanted to be. And I think Complex saying that, you know, he's not one of these artists that can only drop an album every couple of years or even once a year, I think that's super valid too. Like, you know, we saw Uzi take a massive break from Love Is Rage 2 to Eternal Take, but at that point Uzi already had an EXO Tour Life, which is a song that damn near beats all of Skies' like biggest hits combined, you know what I'm saying? So I feel like what happened was, I feel like maybe Skies thought he was a little bit bigger than he actually was, and taking these big breaks did not do him any good. I've mentioned in a previous video in what I think Skies should do to get back up, to get a little bit buzz around his name again, and one thing that I definitely think is he just needs to drop more music, obviously, but I think he just needs to go for hits at this point. Call up Landon Cube, call up Cole Bennett, drop a Landon Cube and Cole Bennett collaboration where they drop a banger song that they know is like hit potential, and get a Lyrical Lemonade music video for it. This could turn right back into 2018 like this, bro, if he does that. And just focus on releasing singles that have massive hit potential. Don't, you know, conform to what's popular right now, because that's not how Skies started coming up. He didn't just, oh, let me ride a wave. He kind of created his own, and that's why he's known as one of, like, you know, the OGs of the SoundCloud era, and that's why he was so well respected and liked. That's my opinion on it, though. You guys let me and Complex know in the comment section down below. We'll be reading them for sure. And Complex, I appreciate you having me on the channel, my boy. Hope we do more of these in the future, and I'll see you guys later. Peace, gang. Feel me?
Hey, Cece, turn that shit on.